GMGAGE. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another episode of Cup of Joe. That's Web3 Joe with Web3 Joe, which stands for Job Ops and Events, your hub, headquarters, and home base for all things Web3 talent and recruitment. They power these spaces. We are live every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, doing our best to fill this next 20 to 30 minutes with as much value as possible. We do so by bringing on dope people from the space who can give us a little bit of insight on how they got to where they are professionally in Web3. Hopefully, give some of our listeners, an idea on how they can land their dream job in Web3. Today, we're very honored to be sharing the stage with none other than Mr. Brennen. He is the founder of Heretic underscore WTF. Brennen, happy to have you here with us today. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for taking the time. And how are you doing?
Happy Wednesday. Excited to be here. I'm doing great.
Good, man. Yeah, appreciate you. I'm sure you got a lot on your plate, so really appreciate you taking some time to come hang out with us.
Yeah, no problem. Always happy to chat.
Awesome. Well, I did my best to give a bit of an intro, but in your own words, for the people who are less familiar, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got started doing it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm Brennan, founder of Heretic. We focus on creative services and marketing services for emerging tech and frontier tech, but other brands as well. Um, I'm a My journey starts um, way back in the day, all the way back to like middle school when I realized that I wanted to work in advertising. And started to realize the power of brands. I went to school for advertising, came out of school and started working in big ad agencies on clients like Nike and Jordan, Amazon. I built Robin Hood's brand. All these like big agency jobs that were really focused around getting high quality, world class work. So getting to work with those teams really instilled a really important work ethic and expectation of how work should be done. Building campaigns like Space Jam for Jordan and Robin Hood's uh, first big brand campaign. And then launching Amazon products as well. All of that gave me like a strong understanding of how to build brands. And then simultaneously, I've been talking about crypto since 2010. Uh, I was a big torrenter in the early 2000s. I loved torrenting music. It was my way of discovering music. And I realized when I saw Bitcoin that Bitcoin was basically doing the same thing by decentralizing transaction information for finance the way that torrenting does for file sharing. And so I immediately connected with it. Became really active in the space in 2013, and then been through the ringer for the past 13 years, working in crypto, like watching brands grow and cycles come and go. Um, and finally in 2020 I realized that, like, okay, this is catching on. There are brands being developed that there's more competition in the space, and positioning is an important aspect of how a brand shows up in a crowded space. How clear can your message be to attract users? And so I left my job at an ad agency where I was running West Coast strategy, and went full time into Web3, and became CMO of Rabbit Hole, which is the original questing platform, and then became CMO of Alio, a zero knowledge layer one, focusing on building up those marketing departments and building those brands. And after my time at Alio, I realized that I could serve more brands in the space by working on a studio as an agency sort of approach, which is when I founded Heretic. And so I've got lots of experience both in and out of Web3, that I've definitely got some experience in understanding how the um, different roles and responsibilities across the landscape work.
Yeah, that's quite the journey, man. I mean, from Nike to Jordan, Robin Hood, and then you even got the big names on the Web3 side too with Alio, and then all the experience in between. I can only imagine how much that's helping you help other teams now with your work with Heretic. So, when you look back, like, what are some of your favorite milestones? Thinking back on your time in Web3.
Web3 specifically, I mean, with Rabbit Hole, we were, there's certain user number milestones, having, 1 million active addresses, with Rabbit Hole was a huge accomplishment. Building out some brand campaigns, exploring identity was a really fun project with them. And then Alio is really was a massive, um, keystone moment in my entire career, because we took Alio from scratch and built it up into, a leading ZK project. Like, there was no marketing when I got started at Alio. I was a marketing hire that was joining a very small team, and we revamped the entire, marketing process with Alio. We really invested a lot in developing, a brand that was approachable for a very high technology. And realistically, how I see my job as a marketer is like problem solving, right? Where's an opportunity? How can I solve problems? And with Alio, it was a blank canvas with a lot of challenges, right? Like ZK, hard to understand. Uh, an L1 ZK, even harder to comprehend, having its own language, developer language. And all the work that we did, we ended up being a top three, in developer growth after all of our work was out there in the world. So to have that type of success, where we not only built a great brand creatively, but see how that impact led to true business results for Alio, was a huge victory for us.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, to join Alio so early and to be able to turn it into what it was, is definitely no small feat. And again, I can only imagine how that's benefiting your current clients with all the experience that you bring to the table. When you think about all that experience that you bring to the table, and you think about people you've hired in the past or team members that you've brought on, what are some of your favorite, or better, what are some of the most effective ways you've found over the years for folks to get your attention who are looking to get started professionally in Web3?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing that's important, especially with like the advent of AI, so just in general as like a skill set to consider, is that as we know, if you use AI, the best AI results require context, right? So having some experience to feed into, what you're trying to accomplish, and coming to the table with some experience and some perspective, for a potential job is critical. um, Even better, coming to a conversation with somebody and making it more about them and less about you, right? If I was talking with somebody and they're trying to come work with me, uh, and this is advice that I give to people all the time when they're going through interviews, is try and get the person on the other side to talk more. Like, if you're speaking more than the other person and you're trying to offer them, uh, some services or something, like you want a job from them, like, you speaking more doesn't do you any favors. People like to hear their own voice. So being able to have more conversations led by who you're speaking with, and being curious and asking questions, almost engaging as if you almost have the role, is great. Like, asking questions like, what do you think about what your competitors are doing on this topic? Or like, what would you have you tried anything like this brief, in the past? Or like, what's been your most successful thing in the past 6 months? Asking people those kind of pointed questions that align to the role that you want to get, and how you can be an added resource to the person that you're talking to, is going to breed more success than trying to sit there and say, i'm I can do this for you, I can do this for you, please let me have a job, please. That's not the right approach. Um, the trying to be a resource to someone from the jump, and showing them that you're curious about what they're building, you understand the challenges, and you have creative solutions, is always going to perform better in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing it in a way, again, that highlights your curiosity and your genuine interest in what's going on, and not in a way that's just like, oh, go ahead and like ramble on because I have nothing to contribute here. Like that's your opportunity to ask thoughtful, guided questions that show A, you're interested, and B, you actually can respond to their response in a way that shows that you have value to add, right? Putting them first, like how you said. How about interview questions, or specifically just things that can happen during an interview that are an opportunity for you to shine and highlight how good of a fit you would be for the team? Are there any questions that you specifically like to ask when interviewing, or are there any questions that you've ever been asked as an interviewer that kind of stuck out to you?
I think similar to what I said before is like being curious about what challenges they're facing, like getting the person that you're talking to talk, to think more introspectively, like asking questions like what are the things that keep you up at night, or like what would make this a huge success, or like, if you hired this role, what would make it seem like a no-brainer 6 months from now. Those types of things that get people thinking about what the role actually is, rather than purely just evaluating you, right? Like having a conversation with the person and being curious about the problems that they're trying to solve, and being curious about how you might be able to fit in that role, and getting them to think rather than purely evaluate is a much more valuable conversation and use of their time. If they feel like they're interviewing and they're just rolling through interviews, um, that doesn't help you stand out. Like if at the end of the day they're like, "Oh yeah, today I had 10 interviews," like that that's not a good result for them. They think that that's draining. If at the end of the day they were like, "Yeah, I had 10 interviews and I had really one really interesting conversation," that's obviously gonna give you an edge.
Yeah, well said.
I
That's
guess I
good
guess one
points.
one thing that I would say, like, in general, though, is, like, expect nothing. Go into this conversation expecting nothing. They don't deserve they don't they don't owe you anything. Make it all about them. Expect nothing. Expect no job offer. Expect no when you walk into a room and you have those types of conversations where you can have you're not expecting a job, you're just talking, that's gonna get you way further in these combos.
Yeah, I really appreciate that approach of like turning it into an engaging back and forth, and really stepping out of kind of that mundane interview, let's get this over with style. Again, it makes you more memorable, and then it allows you to kind of really get past the job description part because, I mean, as you and I both know, like that oftentimes doesn't do a job of actually encapsulating what the day-to-day job looks like. And if you can get into that and instill confidence that you are the guy or gal to do exactly what the day-to-day actually looks like, obviously that's optimal. And besides like just checking boxes off of a job description, how about negotiation tips? Is it always appropriate? Is it sometimes not appropriate? And what are some keys that people can take into a negotiation to help them walk out successful?
It's a good question. I mean, negotiations are different depending on every situation. If you don't if you don't need the job, obviously, negotiations are a little bit easier for you when you sit in a position of power, and negotiations are all power dynamics. Um,
Yeah, good point. Right. Understand where you're at, understand your needs, understand what leverage or lack of leverage that you have, right? I think we may have lost you, Brennan. Hopefully we get you back shortly. Testing as we wait for Brennan to jump back in. I'm sure he may just have to restart his act. Shout out his app. Shout out to Diggy. Shout out to Marco. Shout out to anybody listening to the recording, whether that's here on X, on YouTube, or Spotify. Again, these spaces are powered by none other than Web3 Joe. That's Web3 Job Ops and Events, your hub, headquarters, and home base for all things Web3 talent and recruitment. Brandon, do we got you back?
Decides to turn off right as I'm in the middle of this. But I guess my final point around negotiation is like let the other person speak first. Um, don't set a don't set your top range as your first offer if you're forced into that round of needing to um, needing to offer first, uh, give yourself some buffer to negotiate to like what your final offer is. Um, and yeah, just negotiations are a little bit tricky and really just require practice. Like you need to go through negotiations in order to know how to handle them. And depending on the situation, um, being being aware of where the power dynamics sit is really important.
Yeah, I appreciate that point. I mean, it's realistic and people have to understand it. Like you want to know what you need, what are your needs, what are your wants, and then how much leverage realistically do you have in this situation, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're letting go of an opportunity because they didn't meet every single box you have on your list, when really you didn't have too many other opportunities. So only you can make that decision, but things to consider. Every week we do try to cover a specific topic of the getting hired, being successful process. This week we're talking about building your Web3 portfolio. So I want to ask you, Brennan, what key components make up a solid Web3 portfolio?
Well, I think for me in the work that I do, being able to showcase how you've been able to translate a high level brand idea into consistent branding, whether that's content or experiences or uh, some kind of brand activation, even merch. Like, so being able to highlight like here's the challenge that I had in front of me, here's the way that I approached it, and here's the creative solution. Right, those three elements are crucial for portfolio building, in my opinion.
Boom. Easy peasy. I love how you broke that down. What's the problem? How is it being addressed? And what are the results of the solution? How about what are some common mistakes or missed opportunities when it comes to creating a Web3 portfolio?
I think some mistakes might be overstating effectiveness. Like, be realistic. Like, even in our failures, showing like, hey, we tried this and it worked or didn't work, but here's why I'm proud of it. You know, mistakes are like not showing the strategic thought behind something and instead just like posting it and saying we did it, I did it, like using it as like a checkbox rather than like showcasing the way that you think is a mistake. And I think those are also the same missed opportunities, right? It's like using that space to showcase here's how I think rather than here's what I've done is what's going to be much more effective for at least people like me who look for that type of deeper thought if I want to join a team and want somebody to join my team.
Yeah, show your work, right? I mean, it reminds me back in school when our teachers would say, show your work. We don't just want to see the final answers. Like, we want to see the logic behind it. And I could definitely see how that would be beneficial for somebody like you or anybody in a hiring position, to have that much more insight when making your decision. We are just about ready to start winding down. We have a few closing questions, but Brennan has been so awesome in providing a ton of insight already. Our first closing question, Brennan, is what are your least favorite and favorite parts of working in crypto?
um, I'll start with my least favorite is the kind of overstated elements without backing. In a lot of projects, right? There's a lot of marketing out there uh, that just follows the same playbook, which is why the tagline that my studio focuses on is burn the playbook. Because if you just recycle the same playbook, it diminishes the results. And I think that a lot of people take similar claims to what other projects have done. They take the same approaches on it. And I think that from a marketing standpoint, it gets uh, it gets diminished. One, the effectiveness of the message and how strong the brand can stand, but also getting people's results. I think it leads to like a lot of some of the botted things that have plagued crypto marketing. I think that that's a dangerous behavior that has come from people trying to create the same results that someone else did in the same way. My favorite parts though are um, the passion uh, of the broader community, the way that people get together, focus on connection, the ability to push into frontier technology when the path is unclear. I have a lot of respect for. And for the right brand, taking those chances and doing things creatively, which is the type of work that I've done for my career in and out of Web3.
I love that burning the playbook. There's definitely a lot of trend chasing, meta hopping, hype
Exactly.
day to day in Web3, and I think when you find an agency or a team like what you're building over at Heretic is important, because it again drives on like the long term value that we can drive from things that go beyond trends, beyond day to day hype, while also understanding how to leverage those kind of things in the shorter term to create, drive attention to things that are going to last longer term.
Exactly.
Um, what final advice do you have for listeners hoping to land a full time role in Web3 or hoping to advance their careers in the space?
Yeah, I mean, I think something that I saw, and I see a lot of, is people going out into the space and saying very directly, "I need a job. I need a job. Will you give me a job?" As someone who's hiring, that's something that I think is realizing that everyone is doing that and finding a new approach to showcase your. Are you still with me? Sorry, I thought I lost you again.
We lost you for like half a second, but you're good.
Perfect. Uh, Realizing that everyone is doing that, having the insight that that's what most people are doing, and building a case for why you would be a good candidate in the ways that I described earlier, where you show curiosity, you present a possible solution, is going to be way more effective, right? It's going to take more work than just blasting out, "Hey, I need a job, I need a job." But when you do that in a way that, like, "Hey, I care about this project. How can I support them? How can I show them what I can do for them?" That's going to capture attention a lot better than just saying, like, "Please hire me. I've done things before. I can do this for you." Like, make it tailored towards what you think you can do for them specifically.
Specifically, be specific. Well said. And again, it's all about just showing that intention, right? And what you were talking about earlier, highlighting them first, putting their needs first, their challenges first, and then highlighting exactly why you're the individual to address them and lead the way. Brennan, what a conversation. Again, tons of gems dropped in the last 20, 25 minutes. I would love to ask you, how can we, the listeners, do a better job at supporting you and the awesome work that you guys got going on over at Heretic?
I mean, yeah, it's been a great convo. Appreciate you guys having me on. Um, come follow along with us. We've got a lot of work that we've been working on lately. We've got a pretty unique perspective in a lot of ways, in how marketing comes to life in some projects, and some really cool launches coming up soon with some brands like Morpho, and some other brands that are still in stealth, that are coming soon. So follow along for us, and check out some of the work that we're doing. And then, if even if there's a way to apply some of the things that I was just talking about, my DMs are open. Hit me up.
Boom. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We made it easy for you. All you got to do is check out the Jumbotron up top. You can follow Brennan. You can follow Heretic. And yeah, reach out. Stay connected. I mean, that's part of what these spaces are for. Again, Brennan was kind enough to stop by and drop a ton of gems. But if you have any follow-up questions on this or Heretic, feel free to reach out. And once again, Brennan, thank you so much for the time, the insights. We're going to have you back sometime. But until then, thanks, man. Really, really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for hosting me, man. Appreciate the time.
Of course. And until next time, we will see you soon, Brennan. And as for everyone else, Min, Diggy, Darling, Neha, Marco, anyone listening to recording, whether that's here on X, on YouTube, or Spotify, we appreciate you. We're rooting for you. And we'll be back very soon. Take care, everyone.